Now, I've mentioned in some of my videos before that I have celiac disease, which basically means I can't have anything that has gluten in it. I have other food intolerances and allergies and things like that, so the only person that can really cook for me is me. But there's one thing that really, really sucks about having gluten intolerance, having celiac, and that is fried foods. You know, you can't have them. But I'm going to show you today how to make fried chicken gluten-free, and I guarantee you this is going to be just as good, if not better, than anything that you can get from any of the commercial fried chicken places, okay? So stay tuned. This is going to be a lot easier than you think, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we need to get a couple of eggs, which these are eggs. We need something to make our batter in. This is going to be perfect. Let's go ahead and stick a couple of eggs inside here. We don't want to use eggs by themselves, so I'm going to stick some milk inside here. If you want to, you can use buttermilk. Okay, but that, let's just use the rest of that. You can put a little vinegar in your milk here, and it'll give it that tanginess that we're looking for. Okay, and I'm just going to use apple cider vinegar. You can use whichever one you want. I'm going to be putting 2 capfuls. You don't have to put that in there, but I like that tanginess. This is dried parsley flakes. That's good. This is about a half of a teaspoon of salt. We're going to throw that in there. It already smells kind of like buttermilk. This is about a teaspoon or so of dried thyme. This right here is rosemary. Okay, now I took this right off of my rosemary plant outside. Okay, but I'm going to put some of this in here. You're going to say, well, you didn't even break it up. You know, but don't worry, because I'm going to end up using an immersion blender on this because I want this to kind of get mixed up really, really well, and I want that to be broken up. Rosemary is a very important part of a chicken flavor. This is paprika. Okay, and I'm going to put about that much inside there. Paprika is nothing more than just dried bell pepper. Now, as far as I go, this is about as far as I can go with this. But if you do not have a lot of the food intolerances and allergies that I have, you put your black pepper inside this, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon, depending on your likes. You can put a little bit of cayenne pepper, which I'm going to do, just to give it a little bit of spice. And we don't need too much. Something like that. You could put onion powder, you could put garlic powder. And I have a recipe for Elvis's fried chicken. And if you go check that out, you're going to see all of the herbs and spices that I put in that, and that chicken will knock your socks off. So you can follow everything that I'm doing here. The only difference is we're not going to be using flour. Now, if you want to, you can cut up the rosemary, and then you can just mix this with a fork if you want. I am not going to do that. I'm going to be using an immersion blender to mix this up really, really well. Okay. So, for the most part, that should have cut everything up really well. It incorporated a little bit of air in it, but that's okay. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to be adding what's going to create the crispiness on the outside, which is actually way better than flour if you do this right. Okay, and this is potato starch. I have a little bit here, but I have another container. I'll generally get the potato starch at a Asian market, but I know that you can get it at some also like places like Whole Foods or Sprouts and things like that. Anywhere that sells health conscious type grains and foods and stuff like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this until it's about like a thick pancake batter. Do you see how that this is not really clinging to the fork? That tells us we need to add a little bit more starch, but we're really close to how much starch we need inside here. And that vinegar to that milk, it smells like buttermilk, and actually it smells almost like ranch dressing. If you were to put the black pepper, see it's sticking to this now. If you were to put the black pepper in there, the onion powder, the garlic powder, you would end up having some amazing smelling stuff here. You can also put like mustard powder in here if you want. Okay, so that is that. And what we're going to do is we are going to take some of our chicken legs and we're going to throw them inside here. Anytime I do this, there's always somebody, part of the peanut gallery, that always says, oh my God, you didn't even wash off your chicken. I have a video that I'm going to post up here somewhere, and that video goes over all about cross-contamination, the truth about foodborne illnesses, and how to handle meat. And it also ends up talking about how chicken is actually processed at the factory, and how you do not Repeat, you do not want to wash your meat. There's only one time you should ever wash your chicken. There's only one time, and I talk about that, okay? But do not do that. If you wash it, all you're doing is you're spreading stuff, okay? But check out that video and be smarter, so that way the next time somebody tells you, oh, you didn't even wash it, you can sit there and say, aha, if you think I need to, it's because you're a fool. We also need something to fry this in, so I'm just going to take a pot like this. And yesterday I was making some chicken wings, so I'm just going to use the oil from that, so that's why it looks the way that it does, but there's nothing wrong with it, okay? And I'm going to add a little bit more oil to this. I'm going to put it on the stove, and I'm going to get this up to about 375 or so. People always say that, but they don't have a means of measuring the temperature. Just put it on medium heat, and don't get it too hot, because that's very dangerous, but don't get it too low either, because then it doesn't do the job it needs to do. Just put it on medium heat. After about 8 minutes, 10 minutes, it's going to be hot enough. While we are waiting for that oil to heat up, turn the oven on to 350 degrees, get out a baking sheet and a cooling rack, because that's what we're going to end up stacking the chicken on. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So get your sheet pan, put a cooling rack on there, because we're going to be setting our chicken on here after we're done frying it, and we're going to bake it, because the frying process is not going to cook it all the way through. And we want to make sure that this is cooked all the way through. This is cooked all the way through, and then this is delicious. This is chicken wings. Okay, so our oil should be hot enough, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our chicken, and we're going to let some of the extra kind of come off of here, because we don't want to have too many little floaties like that, even though those are really good. And also a little bit goes a long way with this batter. So during those two, we're going to go ahead and let those submerge and cook them for 3 to 4 minutes, something like that. We just want the outside to be a little crispy and firm. If we have to turn it, we'll turn it. But afterwards, we're going to take this and we're going to put it on that rack. But we're going to fry them again. We're going to double fry them, okay? So each one of these is going to get about 3 minutes of being submerged in the oil. So it's only been a couple of minutes, and we're already getting ready to take these out. And be careful to not disturb the breading, because the breading can come off real easy on this. So we're just going to kind of put this on the cooling rack, and that is the initial fry, but we're going to double fry these. And when we double fry, you're going to see that the breading and everything becomes very dark. Okay, so same thing, we're going to take this, set it in here. So I'm going to keep doing this process until all of the chicken has been fried once, and then as soon as it has been fried once, I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now that all of the chicken has been cooked the first time around, what we want to do is, if there's any little floaties inside here from the starch, the potato starch, the batter, go ahead and take them out, just so that way they don't kind of get in the way next time around. If you need to add more oil, go ahead and add more oil, but what we're going to do is we're going to have this get back up to temperature, and if you want to, you can even increase the temperature a little bit. So there was a little piece missing off the top of it, so I put a little bit of batter, I just dipped it. But this is one that has been setting. This is one of the very first ones that's been setting. And this is called double frying, and this is going to end up making the outside of that more crisp, and it's also going to end up making it more brown the next time that we take this out. And this only takes a couple of minutes, by the way, to do the double frying. But when we take this out again, it's going to stay on the cooling rack. Then we're not going to move it until it's done cooking in the oven. So let's go ahead and take this out and put it on the cooling rack. We'll take this out, put it on the cooling rack. So as this sets, it's going to end up becoming thicker, and it's not a big deal, because I'm only going to do 2 more. But what I'm going to do as an added bonus to this one is I ended up adding my Cajun seasoning that I have my recipe up here, somewhere like that. And I just added that to the mix already, and I'm going to do 2 of these with a Cajun spicy flavor. Okay, so let's go ahead and fry these up. put everything on the cooling rack that is on top of the baking sheet, and then we're going to throw this in the oven. So all the frying has been done, and even though these look done, they are not, okay? Because they're deep in the bone and everything area. Those are raw. This cooling rack's going to allow the extra fat and everything to drain off, so it won't be sitting in its own fat. But this is the Cajun, 2 pieces of Cajun chicken that I made, and then this is the regular. And now we're going to end up putting this inside the oven, and it's going to be in there for a good 30, maybe 45 minutes because of the size of the chicken. Okay, so the chicken is done, and looking at it, you would not be able to tell that that is actually potato that is on the outside. You would think that it's got a normal breading. But anyway, let's go ahead and take this stuff off of there, plate it up, and we're good to go. And there you go, guys. That's how you make gluten-free fried chicken. And if you listen, you should have been able to hear the crunch, because that is crunchy. And that's good. But anyway, guys, that is that. If you like this recipe, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, all the other good stuff. Check out my other videos, got tons of stuff. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.